Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works. And it's another new project day. Yay! Now, a lot of you have probably noticed that I like to have, usually an aviation subject going and a car or truck going at the same time. And actually, to be truthful, on top of the two projects that you usually see going on at any given time, we sometimes will have two or three other projects going on in the background where we're just doing the preliminary work, or we're planning them out, or we're making molds or parts or things like that. But this definitely falls into the category of some unfinished business, in that I purchased this kit and started working on it all the way back in, let's say, 1994. I know it was when I was still living in an apartment with my first wife. And I started it, and for whatever reason, I never finished it. And I've never really been big on 1/144 scale kits, although lately we have acquired a fair number. Natasha did the F1117 Nighthawk in 1/144 scale, and of course I've got the Boeing 747-8, and I've picked up a Super Guppy, and as well as at the Globemaster in 1/144 scale. So, but this one actually has been started, and whether you want to say particularly well started, I don't know, but we'll get into it. But yeah, I'd like to get this one finished off. It's always been a plane I liked. I like not really a seaplane, basically a flying boat here. So, and the other thing about this particular project is being an older Airfix kit, it's a little bit of a crapshoot in terms of fit. So let's see what we get inside here. So once again, this has been started. We've got the instructions, which oddly enough are a bunch of individual pieces of paper that Airfix has stapled together. This is a different way of doing a manual, that's for sure. Lots of pieces of glass to go in there, which I think I've already decided not to use. Not that many steps, really. As you can see, we've got 4 assembly steps, and then you're into painting. So, let's see what I managed to accomplish thus far. It's okay, I didn't need those instructions anyway. Thank you. So here's the decals, and they are still in good shape, but I will be giving them a coat of decal saver just to make sure they don't end up shattering. As you can see, I've got the 2 fuselage sides together, and there's been no windows installed. I think I basically decided I wasn't going to use the molded windows. I'm just going to use one of the clear window making products, which for windows this size works quite well. Obviously there were some seams to fill, and if you've never used it, this is Squadron Green Putty, which is, back in the day, was my favorite putty material. Now I use the Tamiya putty, and of course here we've got a little keyway to put it in the stand. This comes with a stand. The wings have been assembled. They need a little bit of sanding and cleaning up, but you can see I've got a little bit of putty there. I don't think there's anything too incompetent about it so far. Here's the stand. I've seen people who've taken like various Airfix stands and glued them together to make, science fiction spaceships and stuff. So, I've got 3 engines here, or I should say, I've got the engines and firewalls here, and then I've got the second row of cylinders here, because these are 2-row radials. But obviously I seem to be missing some. I think they're in the box. Yep, they're right down there, so I'm not actually missing any engine parts. Here we've got the stabilizing float, the vestigial lower wing, and here is one of our elevators. Oh, look, I was considerate enough to leave a piece of emery paper in here for future use. Propellers are pretty basic, but in 1/144 scale, oops, at least I don't need to take that one off anymore. You're not talking huge detail on your engines anyway. So I'm not anticipating that this is going to be a long or difficult build, but it's one of these ones that's just been sitting on the shelf mocking me. You never finished me. Note to self: if I'm going to put green putty on a model, don't leave it for 20 years. This is hard. This is taking a lot of effort to sand that blob down. Mind you, I'm sure I didn't think I was going to leave it for 20 years. Well, more than that, 25 years. That was 2 whole marriages and 4 children ago.
And half your life.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, that took a little bit more aggressive sanding than I would have liked for a 1/144 scale aircraft. But you can see, to get everything level, how much putty there still is here, even after the sanding. So it really did need the filler there. Most of it came off back here. There's a couple spots where I'm just going to give it a small lick of Tamiya putty. Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple low spots there and there. So, not quite ready to say completed on the sanding yet. I'm just test fitting the wings here, because I want to make sure I've got no nasty surprises. Are these going to glue into place without any horrible gaps? It looks like should be fine. The real plane has an awful lot of dihedral anyway, so I think we should be alright. Just want to make sure I don't have to do any sanding on the tops of the wing roots here. I'd rather get all the sanding and filling done and just be able to whoop, pop the wings on and head off to paint. It looks as though I was successful in sanding down the original green putty and touching up some of the areas that were still rough with Tamiya putty. As you can see, we've got the wings on now, and we've got the stub wings, and these basically took the place of outrigger floats. So it's kind of a obviously not a full biplane, not even a 1.5 biplane, but these did generate lift, and the whole idea with these is when it sat in the water, it made the aircraft's footprint in the water this wide, so you didn't get any of the tending of tipping that you normally get with flying boats, even when they have outrigger floats. And the other thing is well, I've since installed the doors, but the main entry doors were over these. So if it could not dock, it was easy to bring a launch or something up here, and then passengers could simply walk onto the stub wing to get in on board. So we're at the spray booth, and this is the way I was kind of hoping that the plane was going to be hanging from our support. Although it shouldn't be surprising that using the spot where the stand will go in results in almost a perfect almost a perfect hanging upside down, which actually is not what I want, because really the underside here, at least the planing bottom, I believe is supposed to be black. But really this is where I want to get my silver paint. So I think I'm going to change my tactic here. So I've changed the point I'm going to be hanging it from to the navigator's blister, or I suppose a flight engineer might use that as well. It's basically kind of a raised, framed cupola that jets up here. I'm thinking it's probably for the navigator. I don't know, maybe it serves both purposes. Maybe 90% of the time you've got the flight engineer up there, able to keep an eye on the engines, and the rest of the time, it's available for the navigator. It's one of those two things, and maybe a bit of both. Anyway, at least when I hang it here, I can get at the top, the sides, the bottom for a good spray pattern. Ooh, shiny. So we've got silver on all the surfaces, pretty much. Basically the other side is silver too. This is going to be black. And it's going to be black kind of coming up to about the tail right here. So that still needs to be done. And I believe we've got some red that needs to be put on the upper surfaces. Silver can be a fragile color. So I'm going to be just letting this sit for a few days. I'm probably touching it too much right now as it is, before I go masking and putting the red on and the black on, and then going on to decals. I'm also going to be the control surfaces. I'm going to be using a different silver on them. Probably going to be using Tamiya aluminum, mostly because control surfaces on planes of this era were usually doped cloth and looked a lot flatter. I'm going to pick out a few other panels and things on the plane itself and probably do those in a slightly different silver. But this pretty much does it for this episode. There's only going to be 2 episodes on this. So thanks for watching. Until next time, just keep on modeling.